You now are listening to the audio podcast of Prisoners of Hope, the antidote to what ails your heart. I'm your host, Dr. Debbora Whitson. So come on in, pull up a chair, and open up your mind as you get ready to receive the download that hope will bring. Well, welcome to the Prisoners of Hope podcast, and it is a great day. In part one of this series, we covered the benefits of having a spiritual mentor, and we explained what the Bible says about mentorship. There's a lot of Bible verses about membership and in a mentorship club, right? So mentorship must be important. Community is important in the Bible. In this episode of God Mentor Go Far, we want to take it even further by looking at what are the characteristics of an effective mentor. So, if you're looking for a mentor, these are some of the characteristics or the idiosyncrasies you want to see in that potential mentor. And if you are looking to be an effective mentor, these are some of the characteristics that you must master. So, a mentor must have specific qualities in order to have a favorable impact on the mentee. Successful mentors tend to have the following seven characteristics. Now, I'm going to introduce these seven characteristics, but also in the end, I'm going to cover a model that kind of simplifies these characteristics. The first one is knowledgeable. You want somebody knowledgeable about the appropriate subjects. And also, you want somebody who's willing to transfer the necessary information to the mentee. Okay. Have you ever went to a college? If you've gone to college, you know the professors are very knowledgeable. But what makes a good teacher or a mentor is that the person has a talent to be able to translate, to transfer his or her knowledge to you. Great mentors are always learning, always learning. They stay on top of new developments in their field and they know where to access resources. Isn't that important? I say, I might not know the answer, but I know where to look, okay? Or I know people who perhaps know where to look. However, there's a limit to their knowledge, and you must accept this. If they're not sure about something, a good mentor will admit, like I just did, and try to obtain the appropriate answers. So, a good mentor is knowledgeable, stays up to date. A good mentor is also a dynamic communicator. Yes, because you got to communicate with your mentees. Great mentors communicate in a way that promotes trust and cooperation. This makes them a dynamic communicator who's skilled at they can listen without interrupting, they can speak clearly, they know how to network and how to show you where the strings of the network are. Um, a lot of them are very good writers, and a lot of them also are very, very good presenting the data, the facts they know, are transferring the facts they know to you. They seek to understand the mentee on a deeper level by building rapport, asking questions, and truly listening. Then they determine the best ways to support the mentee based on the information they just received. In addition, they also teach instead of preach. There's a difference between preaching and teaching. They teach and train instead of preach. They apply the communication model which is best suited for their mentee. You know, I have 2 sons, and one, you don't really need to tell him much, he's a self-starter, and the other one, you have to be careful with your words because you could hurt his feelings, right? So, each one of my children, I love them, but they all learn different. They're motivated by different things. I once had a student that, he melted down if you said anything negative. So anything you would say have to tell him or correction, you would have to sandwich it. They call it the sandwich technique, where you say something positive, then you put something negative in there, and then you stay on the end or sandwich it on the end with a positive. But a person who is negative, motivated by the negative, you don't need to do that. You just say, "Hey, man, you're messing up. You need to straighten your roll." Okay. All they though with great mentors, they also have a knack of delivering information to diverse individuals and diverse teams. So they basically can talk to different people, and they don't preach. They encourage two-way communication. You've seen the two-way communication model if you went to high school or some at college. You have the sender and the receiver, and you have the encoding the message, which the sender does, and the sender must make sure that encoding is in language and symbols that you will understand. The next thing I want to talk about under dynamic communicator, they also take steps to remove obstacles to communication. Let me share this with you. One time, I taught college 40 years, so there's different immigrants. It started out with Vietnamese and then went to the in people from Indonesia, and quite a bit of students came over there, exchange students from India. And India is a caste system, which means there's certain levels in which you don't breach, and certain behaviors and even customs that belong to each level. Now, the highest level of the hierarchy of Indians is brown men. They call brown men, not because their skin is brown. They call brown men. Okay, and they have certain jewelry and certain accoutrements that the women would wear. Now, I had the student who was of the brown man because they're the ones who had more money to travel the United States, so more likely they were going to be of the brown man. Okay, and she was a real good friend of mine, and she had to do an endowment, where she when she got married, she had to give away all her old jewelry. It's a tradition, okay? And so she gave me these earrings that are just gorgeous. They're really detailed, little beads and everything. And so then years later, I would wear these earrings, and I had a student who I forgot what caste she was from, but she was not from the brown man caste. And I had these earrings on, and I was talking to her. I noticed that she kind of she was like, "Hey, Dr. D, how you doing?" And then she kind of changed her cadence. She kind of changed her distance between me. She kind of backed up, and I had to figure out what it is. And see, a good mentor is going to spend time trying to figure out what it is. And the next time, because I really love these earrings, they were green, and that's my favorite color, green. And so the next time I didn't wear them, and I asked her about them, and she said, "Yeah, that's somebody of the brown men." And I told her I didn't mean to put a wall between us. It was just a gift, and I didn't understand that. You see? So a effective mentor removes obstacles to effective communication. The next category is responsive. You got to be responsive because you're dealing with somebody. You can have a lot of unanswered emails. A great mentor seeks to understand the emotional, intellect, and the psychological needs of the mentee and is responsive to them, okay? Responsiveness means exhibiting interest in the um, mentee's well-being. You're really interested in them. You care about them, and you care about the mentee's success, and you're invested in that success. You have the mentee's best interests at heart. All this is under responsiveness, and you understand and accept the mentees decisions regarding their path. You're advising them, and the mentee might decide to change paths, and you must respect that. And you're also really apt at helping the mentee overcome problems that are hinder their development. A lot of times we can't see what's hindering our development, so it's like the forest for the trees we can't see, but a mentee would be able to see this and perhaps point it out to you. While helping the mentee with their needs, an effective mentor are careful not to overstep. It's like a balancing act, you know. It's like the doctors there called it's called a practice. And I pointed this out to my doctor, and we are called patients because they're practicing. Over time they will get better, and you have to be patient. In other words, the mentor, they refrain from violating personal boundaries of the mentee. An effective mentor must have trust at his heart. Trust is a foundation of any successful relationship, whether it be a romantic relationship, but here we're talking about a mentoring relationship. The mentee will not listen to or respect the mentor if there is not trust. They must trust each other. The mentor must trust the mentee. The mentee must trust the mentor. It's a two-way street, kind of like the two-way communication. For this partnership to work, this is non-negotiable. In fact, the mentor has a duty to be trustworthy. A great mentor is discreet, very discreet. The mentee feels comfortable talking to them. They don't have to worry about the information coming back and biting them in the behind. Um, an effective mentee honors confidentiality. The mentor operates within the boundaries of confidentiality agreements. They don't disclose unauthorized information. Now, I want to stop and say, I've seen this happen in a lot of Bible studies. Don't get down on me. But there will be like two friends in the Bible study that are closer than the other members. And one friend will look at the other and say, "Is it okay I tell everybody about your dreams?" Now, what is the person going to say? In front of other people. No, don't tell them nothing. I don't trust them. So this is not what you need to do. You need to ask that beforehand before you put out information. So don't disclose any authorized information. An effective mentor is non-judgmental. They build rapport by listening without judgment, listening without the answer, listening without the question, listening, and they are empowered by delivering feedback without judgment. So if you want to be a mentor, j- drop the judgment, okay? The next characteristic of a mentor is role model, okay? Role model is a little different. Let me discern the difference here than a mentor. A role model can be an example of behavior, a reference of behavior. It could be negative or positive. Remember, your mom does not want you hanging out with those girls. That's a negative model. However, a mentor is an example, but it's usually in the development of some kind of positive attribute in the mentee. Role models. A mentor has integrity. Um, they have ethical conduct. You must observe people long enough or be exposed to them long enough to decide whether these things are true. A a mentor has a strong work ethic. So at work is not the person who's always calling in sick or always an hour or 30 minutes late for lunch or don't clock out for lunch. You want somebody who has a strong work ethic. I used to have my students break into groups, and I would tell them to watch the communication between the members before you decide what group you want, because I let them pick their group. And if they had somebody who was a hard worker in the group in the future, that person could perhaps be a mentee in their life. They have a positive attitude. They're not always talking about downer things, okay? These are people that you're going to look up to, and they're a positive force in your life, okay? Great mentors can become positive role models by just displaying, well, like I said, integrity, ethical conduct, a strong work ethic, and a positive attitude. The next characteristic that I want to cover is accountability. A good mentor is a accountability partner. What does that mean? Well, if you on a workout program, a good mentor would be one to say, "Okay, we're working out 3 days a week. Time? Are you ready? Get your sweats on. Get your hat on. Get your water. Get your towel." They are motivating you um, toward accomplishing something in your career or something in your spiritual life too. This holds true for a spiritual mentor too. Okay, they motivate you. They say, "Hey, let's do a Bible reading program." Okay, Th- they hold you accountable throughout the process. Okay, but the mentee has to reach out and agree to this partnership. Accountability. Accountability just means, do you do what you said you're going to do when you said you were going to do it? That's called accountability. Last but not least of these 7 focuses, um, a mentee must be have the complete focus of the mentor. So let me say that better. A mentor focuses on the mentee. They're adaptable, when they find out certain things about their personality, about their backstory, always get the backstory of their life. They are adaptable. I remember I'm a military brat, and my father was a sergeant, so to be on time means you're 15 minutes late. So I always all on time. And this one girl I was mentoring, she was perpetually late. She was always late. And at first it had to irritate it had to. It didn't had to. It did irritate me. Our women that roll their eyes, a little sly marks, a little that comments nonverbal. We're real good at nonverbal communication called paralanguage. But I had to learn to ease up. What does it matter? She's 15 minutes late. She always calls. She's always late. There's always a reason. So we made a joke out of it instead of being hurtful. Be adaptable. Focus on the mentee. Recognize what are the mentee strengths. People say, "Oh, list your strengths and your weaknesses and try to fortify your weaknesses." No, God gave you those strengths. Fortify those strengths. You do not ask a cow to give you pork or bacon, right? Well, everybody needs to take turns. Well, that's foolish. You work in the strengths of your mentee. The strengths. I remember there was a group of 5 of us, 5 of my colleagues, 5 professors, and we all had different strengths. Okay. One person, when we traveled to a convention, she was the event programmer. She's like, "Okay, we're going to go over here and we're going to do this." And she was good at doing that. And she knew people all over the world. Okay. And then one of my colleagues was real good in researching and writing. She was, oh my goodness, this girl can write. And so she would always write the thing. And then one was real good in data analysis, and he would do the data analysis or look at creative ways to analyze the data. That boy knew data analysis. And I was the presenter because I was a stand-up comedian and I would take any material and make it engaging. I was the presenter. Now, if you asked me to do the statistical analysis, I could do them, but I'm not working in my strength. So it is a misnomer to say, "Oh, we have to fortify our strengths." No, God gave us weaknesses. These are our abilities. These are our gifts. This is the reason we're here for the kingdom. God gave us that. So work in your strengths. Help build the strengths of your mentee. You want to build the strengths of your mentee. A lot of information. So let's review what we covered, the seven characteristics that we covered on being an effective mentor. Number one, knowledgeable. If you want somebody who's knowledgeable in the subject area that you're trying to improve, right? Right. If you want to gain knowledge in the Bible, it makes sense that you probably want to talk to somebody or be a mentee to somebody that's read the Bible more than once through, okay? Okay? So, knowledge on whatever topic you want to improve, you want a mentor that's knowledgeable. You want a mentor that's a good communicator because mentorship is all about communication. You want a mentor that's responsive because you're going to have a relationship, so you want them to respond. You want a mentor that's trustworthy, so when you tell them something in confidentiality, that is kept, it's not violated. You want a mentor that's a role model, a positive role model that gives you an example, and you know they have integrity, you know they have work ethic, you know that they are a awesome person. That's a role model, okay? You also want a mentee that is a accountability partner that keeps you on track and checks you when you're wrong. A mentor is one person who knows your song, and when you forget the melody, that person sings it back to you, reminds you. And last but not least, you want a mentor that's focused on you as a mentee. That makes sense. Now, I want to go over this real quickly. Mentoring model. Basically, it says if you're on YouTube, you can see what came up. You want you want a mentor who supports you. You want a mentor who helps you with clarify your goals, helps you work towards your goals. You want a mentor that trains you. You want a mentor that gives you advice. You want a mentor that picks you up when you're down, motivates you, and you want a mentor that's entangled in your success, that is committed to your success and is happy when you become successful. Well, basically, mentoring means supporting your mentee. And that's all that's so important. And life is not meant for you to walk the journey alone. You must walk the journey with people who are put on your path to help you. And the Bible promises that He has a path to prosper you, both your soul and your life. So He will send you people to be your mentor. Until next time, we're going to cover strategies to help you find a mentor. Just interrupted myself. So until next time, God bless you. Signing off. My hope is that this journey has been fruitful and you're able to take it and apply it to your life. Until next time, tune in again for the Prisoners of Hope podcast. God bless.